My phone rang while I was standing in the produce section of Trader Joe's, holding a bunch of celery. Mike's name flashed on the screen. Mike Chen, the handyman I'd hired that morning to check the water damage in my basement. "Miss Morrison, you need to come home." His voice was tight, breathless. "Right now." I set the celery down. "What's wrong? Is it worse than we thought?" "There's a room," he said, "behind the wall. A hidden room. And someone's been living in it." The fluorescent lights hummed above me. A woman pushed her cart past, her child asking for cookies. Everything felt suddenly distant, like I was watching the scene through water. "What do you mean? Living in it?" "There's a sleeping bag. Food. Fresh food, Miss Morrison. And drawings on the walls. Children's drawings. You need to call the police and get here now." I left my cart right there in the aisle. I need to back up. I need to explain how I got here. To this moment, racing home through Portland traffic with my hands shaking on the wheel. 3 years ago, my mother died. She was 79, and the last 5 years of her life, dementia had stolen her piece by piece. Toward the end, she kept talking about Tommy. "Tommy's in the walls," she'd say, gripping my hand with surprising strength. "Tommy needs food. Tommy's scared." We all thought it was the disease. My mother had 3 children. Me, my brother Daniel, and our older brother David, who died in a car accident 30 years ago. There was no Tommy. We figured her brain was mixing up memories, creating phantom relatives the way dementia sometimes does. After she passed, I inherited the house, the old Victorian in northeast Portland where I grew up, where she'd lived for 52 years. Built in 1923, 3 stories with a basement that always smelled like damp earth and old wood. Daniel didn't want it. He lives in Seattle, makes good money in tech, told me to sell it and we'd split the proceeds. But I couldn't. Not right away. My husband, James, had died 5 years before Mom. Our son, Andrew, lived in San Diego with his wife and new baby. I'd retired early from teaching English at Jefferson High School because taking care of Mom was a full-time job. After she died, the house sat empty for 2 years while I tried to figure out what to do with my life. 6 months ago, I moved in. It felt strange at first, sleeping in my childhood bedroom, walking through rooms full of Mom's things, but it also felt like coming home. The house had good bones, everyone said. With some work, it could sell for a lot. Portland real estate was still hot. But strange things started almost immediately. Food would go missing from my refrigerator. Not a lot. A package of crackers, an apple, some cheese. I blamed myself, thought I was forgetting what I'd eaten. I was 62 years old, living alone for the first time in my life. Maybe I was getting forgetful like Mom. Then there were the sounds. Footsteps at night. Not above me, but below. In the basement. Creaks and shuffles when I was upstairs. My cat Hemingway would sit at the top of the basement stairs and stare down into the darkness, his tail twitching, his ears flat against his head. It's an old house, I told myself. Old houses make noise. But I started sleeping with my bedroom door locked. 2 weeks ago, I found the water stain. A large brown patch spreading across the basement ceiling, right above where Mom's old bookshelf stood against the wall. I put a bucket underneath, but the dripping got worse. I couldn't afford to ignore it anymore, especially if I wanted to sell. That's when I found Mike on Nextdoor. 5-star reviews, reasonable rates, available immediately. He was 45, efficient, professional. Wore work boots that were actually worn from work, not fashion. He came that morning, a Tuesday, at 9 a.m. I showed him the stain, apologized for the mess in the basement, all of Mom's old storage boxes I hadn't sorted through yet. "Take your time," I told him. "I'll be out running errands, just text me when you're done and lock up. The spare key is under the mat." Stupid. In hindsight, so stupid. But he had good reviews. He seemed trustworthy. I went to the grocery store. I was picking out vegetables for the soup I planned to make, thinking about whether to add parsnips, when he called. Now I was pulling into my driveway, my heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. Mike's white van was still there. He was standing on the front porch, and when I got out of my car, I could see his hands were trembling. "I didn't go in farther than the doorway," he said immediately. "I called you right away. I didn't touch anything except to move the bookshelf." "Show me." We went down to the basement together. The bookshelf had been pulled away from the wall, revealing a door I'd never noticed. A door that had been painted the same color as the wall, its seams carefully hidden. It was open. Mike had brought a work lamp. He pointed it through the doorway. The room was small, maybe 8 feet by 10 feet, No windows. There was a sleeping bag on the floor, the cheap kind you can buy at Walmart. A plastic crate filled with canned goods, soup, tuna, beans. A gallon jug of water, half empty. A flashlight. Some books with library stamps on them. And on the walls, children's drawings, taped up with yellowing Scotch tape, stick figures holding hands, a house with smoke curling from the chimney. A sun with rays like the drawings kids make in kindergarten. In the corner, folded neatly, was a piece of paper. Mike pointed at it but didn't pick it up. "That's what made me call," he said. I stepped into the room. It smelled musty but not stale. Someone had been here recently. The sleeping bag still had a depression where a body had lain. I picked up the paper. It was notebook paper, the kind with wide rules. The handwriting was shaky but legible. "Mom, I'm sorry. I'll be good. I promise I'll be good. Tommy." My legs went weak. I sat down hard on the floor. "Tommy. Mom's Tommy. The Tommy in the walls." "Miss Morrison?" Mike's voice seemed to come from far away. "Should I call the police?" "Yes," I heard myself say. "Yes, call them." The police came. 2 officers first, a man and a woman. Then a detective, Sarah Park, maybe 40 years old with kind eyes and a no-nonsense manner. They photographed everything. They brought in someone to check for exits. That's when they found it. Behind another false wall at the back of the room there was a crawl space. It led to the outer wall of the basement, where there was an old coal chute from when the house was first built. The chute opened to the outside, hidden behind overgrown holly bushes. Someone could come and go without ever using the main doors. "Has anyone else been in the house?" Detective Park asked me. "Family members? Friends?" "No. I've been living here alone for 6 months. Before that, it was empty for 2 years. Before that, my mother lived here alone for 5 years, after my father died." "And your mother had dementia?" "Yes, the last 5 years." Detective Park looked at me carefully. "Did she ever say anything unusual? About people in the house?" I felt cold. She talked about Tommy. Tommy in the walls. We thought it was the disease. They found more in the room. A journal, hidden under the sleeping bag. Detective Park put on gloves before opening it. The entries were sporadic, dated. They went back 25 years. I survived, read the first entry, dated September 1999. "Everyone thinks I'm dead. It's better this way. I can't face what I've done. Mom knows. She promised not to tell. She brings me food. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry." The detective looked up at me. "Do you know who Tommy is?" "No. My mother had 3 children. My brother Daniel, my brother David, who died in 1999, and me. There's no Tommy in our family." But even as I said it, something was tugging at my memory. A photograph I'd seen once, in a box in the attic. Mom had snatched it away before I could look closely. "That's nothing," she'd said. "Old family stuff." "Could Tommy be a nickname?" Detective Park asked. "David's middle name was Thomas," I said slowly. "David Thomas Morrison, but he died in a car accident in 1999. There was a funeral, a burial. We'll need to look into that," the detective said. They staked out the house. Unmarked car across the street. Cameras in the basement. They told me not to stay there, but I refused to leave. This was my house. Besides, I had questions only the person in that room could answer. My brother Daniel drove down from Seattle that evening. He let himself in with his key and found me sitting at the kitchen table, staring at the journal entries Detective Park had let me photograph with my phone. "Rachel." He hugged me hard. "Are you okay? Did you know David survived the accident?" He pulled back, staring at me. "What?" "No, David died. We buried him." "Did we? Did we see the body?" Daniel's face went pale. "It was a car fire. They said the body was too badly burned for viewing. The casket was closed." We looked at each other. "Mom knew," I whispered. "She knew all along." That night, I couldn't sleep. I heard every sound in the old house. The settling of boards, the wind in the eaves. Hemingway prowled restlessly, meowing at doors. Around 2 a.m., I heard it, a creak from the basement, then another. I grabbed my phone and texted Detective Park, "Someone's here." She responded immediately, "Stay in your room. We're watching." But I couldn't stay. I crept to the top of the basement stairs. The door was ajar. I'd left it closed. A light was on downstairs. Not the overhead, but a flashlight beam moving across the walls. I heard voices, 2 of them, one male, deep and rough. One female, younger, frightened. "Please," the female voice said. "We can't stay. She knows. The police know." "Where else can we go?" the male voice cracked. "This is home. This has always been home." My heart was pounding. I started down the stairs, each step feeling like it took an hour. The wood creaked under my feet. The voices stopped. "Who's there?" the male voice called. I reached the bottom. The flashlight beam swung toward me, blinding. I held up my hand. "Don't shine that in my eyes." The light lowered. Behind it, I could make out 2 figures. One tall and thin, stooped. One smaller, maybe 5'4", with long dark hair. "Tommy," I said. The tall figure made a sound like a sob. "Rachel? Little Rachel?" He stepped into the dim light from the street lamp, coming through the high basement windows. He was gaunt, his face covered with a gray beard, his hair long and matted, but I knew those eyes. David's eyes? My brother's eyes? "David," I breathed. "Oh my God, David." He was crying now, ugly sobs that shook his whole body. The girl next to him looked terrified, ready to run. "Don't call the police," she said. "Please. We didn't hurt anyone. We just needed a place to stay." That's when Detective Park and 2 officers came through the basement door, weapons drawn. "Hands up, both of you!" Everything happened fast after that. David, Tommy, whoever he was, collapsed. Actually collapsed, his legs giving out. The girl screamed. I found myself between them and the police, my arms out. "Don't shoot! That's my brother!" They didn't shoot. They handcuffed them both anyway, sat them on the basement floor while more police arrived. An ambulance came. David's breathing was labored, his face gray. They loaded him on a stretcher. "Heart attack," one of the paramedics said. The girl was crying, fighting against the handcuffs. "Let me go with him, please. He's all I have." I looked at her. Really looked at her. She was young, maybe 19 or 20. Thin, wearing clothes that were clean but worn. A college backpack sat in the corner of the hidden room. "Who are you?" I asked. "Lily," she said. "Lily Chen. Please, you have to let me go to the hospital with him. He's dying. Can't you see he's dying?" They took her in a different ambulance, in handcuffs, with a police escort. I rode in my car to the hospital, Daniel following behind me. We sat in the ER waiting room for 3 hours. Finally, a doctor came out. "Are you family of Thomas Morrison?" "I'm his sister," I said. "That's his brother." The doctor looked tired. "He's stable for now. But his heart is very weak, years of stress on his system, malnutrition. He's lucky to be alive." "Can we see him?" "Not yet, he's sleeping. But there's a young woman who's been asking about him. She says she's not family, but she won't stop crying. Do you know her?" "Lily," I said. "Yes. Can we see her?" They'd put Lily in a private room, with an officer outside the door. When we walked in, she was sitting on the edge of a hospital bed, still in handcuffs, her face blotchy from crying. "Is he alive?" she asked immediately. "He's alive," I said. "Lily, I need you to tell me what's going on. Who are you? How do you know my brother?" She looked at me with red, exhausted eyes. "I'm nobody. I aged out of foster care 2 years ago. I was living in a shelter, trying to go to community college. I met Tommy at the library. He was there every day reading. We started talking. He was kind. He helped me with my homework. Did he tell you who he was?" "He said he was nobody too. He said he'd made a terrible mistake a long time ago, and he couldn't face the world. He offered me a place to stay when the shelter got full. I didn't know it was your house. I didn't know he was hiding." "How long have you been living there?" 8 months. "He was like a father to me, the father I never had. He made sure I ate, made sure I went to class. He kept my drawings from when I was little, the ones I did in foster care. He said everyone deserves to have their art saved. The children's drawings, they were hers." Detective Park came in. "Miss Chen, we need to talk about what happened 3 days ago." Lily's face crumpled. He collapsed. We were in the hidden room, and he just fell over. His face went gray. I knew it was his heart. I called 911, but then I panicked. I thought they'd arrest us. So I hung up. I dragged him to the attic. There's another space up there, bigger, with a window. I thought maybe the air would help. And then? He died. She was sobbing now. "He died 2 days ago, in my arms. He kept saying he was sorry. He kept saying I didn't mean to hurt anyone, and then he was gone. My legs felt weak again. He's dead? Detective Park looked at me grimly. We found the body in the attic space an hour ago, wrapped in a blanket. Medical examiner confirms death was approximately 48 hours ago from acute myocardial infarction. But you said he was alive, I said to the doctor, confused. The doctor shook his head. No. I said Thomas Morrison was stable. The man downstairs gave that name when they brought him in. But that's not the same person, is it? We all looked at Lily. She was shaking her head. No, that's not Tommy. That man they brought in, that's someone else. I don't know who that is. It took another 2 hours to sort it out. The man on the stretcher wasn't David, wasn't Tommy. He was a homeless man named Robert Shaw who'd been squatting in the crawl spaces around the neighborhood. He'd heard about the hidden room from Tommy, used it sometimes when Tommy and Lily weren't there. He'd been there when the police came, hidden in the shadows, and in the confusion, they'd grabbed him thinking he was Tommy. Tommy, my brother David, had been dead in the attic for 2 days. They let Lily out of the handcuffs. She wasn't being charged with anything. Self-preservation, they called it. Fear. She'd been trying to protect someone who'd protected her. I sat with her in that hospital room until dawn, and she told me everything. David hadn't died in the accident 25 years ago. The car had crashed, caught fire. There was another car involved, a woman driving with her young son in the back seat. David had been drinking. Not much, just 2 beers, but enough. The crash was his fault. He'd pulled the woman from her car. She was unconscious but alive. The boy was screaming in the back seat. David got him out too. But then the gas tank exploded. The fire was so intense, the first responders thought David had been killed. They found a body in David's car, burned beyond recognition. It wasn't David. It was a homeless man who'd been sleeping in David's back seat, whom David had given a ride to. David had saved the woman and her child, but the homeless man had died. David couldn't face it. The guilt, the fact that his drinking had caused it, the fact that a man had died in his place. He let everyone believe he was dead. Our mother found him 3 days later, hiding in the woods behind the house. She made a choice. She gave him the hidden room, brought him food, kept his secret for 25 years. Why didn't he just turn himself in? I asked. Lily shook her head. He tried once, about 10 years ago. But by then, everyone thought he was dead. The case was closed. He thought if he came forward, he'd be charged with fraud, with faking his death, maybe even manslaughter. The guilt ate at him. And your mom. She had dementia. He couldn't leave her. He took care of her from the shadows, made sure she was okay. Tommy in the walls, I whispered. She wasn't crazy, Lily said. She was a hero. She protected her son. The funeral was small, just me, Daniel, and Lily. We buried David, Tommy next to Mom. The headstone read, David Thomas Morrison, 1968 to 2024. Lost but never forgotten. Lily didn't get charged. Detective Park said there was no crime to charge her with. She'd been living in a space no one knew existed, with someone who had a right to be there, at least morally. The DA agreed. I told Lily she could stay in the house. Not in the hidden room. I sealed that up. But in the proper guest room upstairs, with a real bed and a door that locked from the inside. I can't, she said. It's too much. Where else will you go? She didn't have an answer. So she stayed. And slowly, over weeks and months, the house started to feel like a home again. Not a place full of ghosts and secrets, but a place where 2 women who'd lost their families built a new one. I helped Lily apply for financial aid. She's majoring in social work now. She wants to help other foster kids, other people who fall through the cracks. We turned the hidden room into something else. After I had workers open up the wall properly, make it a real room with ventilation and light, we made it an art studio. Lily's drawings, the ones Tommy had saved, hang on the walls. She's painting now, big canvases full of color. Daniel visits once a month. He's still processing it all. The brother who wasn't dead, the mother who lied, the sister who inherited everything, including secrets. But he's coming around. Last time he brought his kids. They called Lily their cousin. She cried when they left. I found Mom's box of photos in the attic. The ones she'd hidden, they were all of David. David as a child, David graduating high school, David and Mom having coffee at the kitchen table, a photo dated 2018, years after he was supposed to be dead. In the last photo, David is holding a sign. It says, "I'm sorry, Mom. Thank you for loving me anyway." I keep that photo on my nightstand. Sometimes, late at night, I hear sounds in the walls. But now I know it's just the house settling, the old bones creaking, the ghosts laid to rest. I think about the detective who investigated the crash 25 years ago, who closed the case and moved on. I think about the family of the homeless man who died in David's place, if he had a family, if anyone mourned him. I think about the woman and child David saved, if they ever knew who saved them. I think about the choices we make, the lies we tell to protect the people we love, the price of those lies, the weight of secrets. Mom used to say toward the end, when the dementia was bad, "The truth is in the walls." We thought she meant the house was full of memories, but she was being literal. The truth was Tommy, David, the son she couldn't save from himself but could save from the world. Last week, Lily brought home a friend from school, a girl named Sophie who'd also aged out of foster care and had nowhere to go during spring break. I made up the other guest room without being asked. "Is this okay?" Lily asked me quietly. I should have asked first. I hugged her. This house has always been for people who need shelter. That's not going to change now. Sophie stayed the week. When she left, she hugged me at the door. "Thank you," she whispered. "I've never had someone's mom be nice to me before." After she left, Lily looked at me. "She called you my mom. Is that okay?" She nodded, crying again. Yeah, that's okay." 6 months ago, I moved into this house to figure out what to do with my life. I thought I'd sell it, split the money, move somewhere warm and quiet. But this house had other plans. It gave me back my brother, even if only for a moment. It gave me answers to questions I didn't know I had. It gave me Lily, this fierce, broken, beautiful girl who's teaching me that family isn't just blood. It's who shows up. It's who stays. I'm not selling the house. I'm staying. We're staying. Last week I went up to the attic, to the space where David died. Lily had cleaned it out, but I could still see the impression on the floor where he'd lain. I sat there for a long time, crying for the brother I lost twice, for the mother who carried such a heavy secret, for all the years we could have had if things had been different. But mostly I cried for the man I never got to thank. The man who saved a mother and her child, who couldn't forgive himself, who lived in shadows because the light felt like too much. "I forgive you," I said to the empty space. "Mom forgave you. It's time to rest now." The house was quiet, and for the first time in 6 months, it felt at peace. I still go up to the attic sometimes, not to mourn but to remember, to sit with the truth that was hidden in the walls. And I think about what the detective said to me after it was all over. "Your mother spent 25 years lying to everyone. To you, to your brother Daniel, to the police. Do you think she was wrong?" I didn't answer right away. I thought about the choices we make for love, the lines we cross, the rules we break. "I think she did what mothers do," I said finally. "She protected her child. Right or wrong doesn't really apply." Detective Park had nodded. For what it's worth, the statute of limitations would have run out anyway. Even if he'd come forward, he probably wouldn't have been charged with anything. He was punishing himself far more than the law ever would have. That's what haunts me most. Not that David hid for 25 years, but that he didn't have to. That he carried that guilt, that fear, that self-imposed sentence when forgiveness was waiting, when the world would have moved on. But maybe that's the real tragedy. Not the secrets we keep, but the forgiveness we can't give ourselves. Lily graduates next year. She's already been accepted to Portland State for her bachelor's degree in social work. She wants to work with at-risk youth. "I want to be what Tommy was for me," she told me. "Someone who sees the kids everyone else has given up on." "He'd be proud of you," I said. I wish he could see it. I think he can. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if there's an afterlife, if David is somewhere watching us piece together the life he left behind. But I choose to believe it. Because the alternative, that he's just gone, that all those years of hiding and sacrifice and love amounted to nothing, is too sad to bear. So I believe. I believe he knows Lily is safe. I believe he knows I understand now. I believe he knows Mom's last words, which the hospice nurse told me but I didn't understand until now. "Tell Tommy I love him," Mom had said. "Tell Tommy it's okay to come out now. The sun won't hurt him anymore." I thought she was talking about a memory, about a childhood fear of her sons, but she was talking about David, giving him permission to stop hiding, to live again. But he couldn't. The walls had become too familiar, the darkness too comfortable. Sometimes a prison is just a place where you feel safe from your own guilt. The house is different now, lighter somehow. Lily has friends over, we have dinners, we laugh. Last night I made soup. The parsnip soup I'd been planning to make the day Mike called me from the basement. I added extra vegetables, made enough for 4. Lily's friend Sophie came over. Daniel drove down from Seattle with his new girlfriend. We sat around the kitchen table, eating and talking, and I looked around at these people, this odd, pieced-together family, and I thought, this is what the house was always meant for. Not secrets, not hiding, but gathering, feeding, loving. "Tell us about your mom," Sophie said. "Lily says she was amazing." So I did. I told them about Mom, about her strength, about the choice she made to protect her son, right or wrong, about the 25 years she kept that secret, even when her mind was failing, even when it would have been easier to tell. "She sounds like a hero," Sophie said. "She was," Lily agreed, looking at me. They both were. Later, after everyone had gone home, I stood at the top of the basement stairs. The door to the hidden room was sealed now, drywalled over, painted. You'd never know it was there. But I know, and that's enough. I turned off the light and went upstairs. Hemingway was waiting on my bed, purring. I climbed under the covers, picked up the photo of David holding his sign. "Good night, Tommy," I whispered. "Good night, Mom." The house settled around me, the old familiar creaks, the sounds of home. And for the first time since James died, since Mom died, since I'd spent so many years taking care of everyone else, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. I felt found. The walls had held their secrets long enough. Now they hold something better. They hold us. They hold life. They hold the messy, complicated truth of what family really means. Not perfection. Not even blood. Just showing up. Just staying. Just love. That's the story. That's what I wanted to tell you. Not to shock you or scare you, but to remind you of something I learned in that basement, standing in a hidden room, holding a note that said I'm sorry. We're all hiding from something, some guilt, some shame, some version of ourselves we can't forgive. But the walls can't protect us forever. Eventually, the truth finds its way out. Eventually, someone hears the sounds we make in the dark. And when they do, when someone finally sees us, really sees us, we have a choice. We can keep hiding, or we can step into the light. David chose the walls, he chose the darkness. And I understand why. I don't judge him for it. But I also choose differently. I choose the light. I choose to be found. I choose to build something new from the broken pieces of the past. That's what Lily is doing too, and Sophie, and all the others who'll come through this house, through this life, looking for shelter and finding family. So if you hear sounds in your walls, don't be so quick to call them ghosts. They might be something else entirely. They might be truth, waiting to be found. They might be love, hiding in the only place it knows. They might be someone who just needs to be seen. Listen, look, open the door. You never know what you might find in the walls.